This computer. All right. Fellow human beings and lovely bipeds, welcome to another exciting meeting of Santa Clara Entrepreneur Toastmasters. I am the Toastmaster of the day, Shardul, and I welcome you all to this session, which is themed from dreams to reality. Recently, we had news that were for one of our members, Frederica, who is the evaluator for Abhijit, that she became a distinguished Toastmaster. So congratulations, Frederica. And this happening is also the reason why the theme for today is dreams to reality. Because I would say about 7 months, 6 months ago, I had a chat with Frederica about this very topic of how she is planning to do her journey from a member to a distinguished Toastmaster. So for Priyanka and for Katerina, those who are not familiar, you have a bunch of prerequisites that you have to accomplish before you become a distinguished Toastmaster. And DTM, as it's called, is actually one of the highest recognition that Toastmasters International offers an individual person for a job well done and for contributing to the overall Toastmaster community. So you have to do a certain pathways, at least 2 pathways. You have to do you have to serve on a club in a capacity as president or one of the board members for two consecutive terms or 2 terms basically. Also, you have to be a director. You have to area level role. Also, some activities like youth leadership programs and all. So it's quite a tedious achievement. And even if you dream that you want to be a DTM, you have to put in a lot of work and planning to make that happen. So that conversation 6 months ago that I had with Frederica, well, that at that point was her dream. Now it's a reality. So that actually inspired the theme for today's session, because all of us visualize something in our minds that, okay, not necessarily in Toastmasters, but also for our professional careers or in our routine lives, we have some dreams, we have some ambitions. How to transform that to reality is a journey that we all traverse in our own way. And having some idea of how to do it is really important. So in today's session, apart from having some wonderful speeches and table topics, we will also have some idea or some pointers that I saw online that can help us do that. To give you an idea about the flow of today's session, we have prepared speeches, which will be done by Abhijit and myself. Then we have, so these prepared speeches are the ones that we have rehearsed and practiced. Normally, these are for 5 to 7 minutes, but the duration can vary. Then you have another segment, which is called table topics. There, Stephen will be giving us, who's the table topic master, will be giving us an impromptu topic. And then we have to say something on that topic for 1 to 2 minutes. And the last segment is normally evaluations. Since ours is a entrepreneur club, we also have another segment, which is called pitches. So pitches is the 4th segment there, where, as I said, Kirti, one of our members, will practice her pitch of why she is perfect for a job application. So this pitch and its evaluation is the last segment. So prepared speeches, table topics, evaluations, and then pitch and its evaluation. So this is the overall flow for today's meeting. Normally, we also have another functionary who's called the timer. The timer does what the timer does is gives you an idea of whether you're sticking to a time limit. Normally, for the speakers, in our today's capacity is 5 to 7 minutes. So on 5, Abhi will see, or Abhi or me will see a green card. On 6, he'll see a yellow. and on 7 it's a red card. So basically to give you an indication that whether you're going above time or not. And the same happens for evaluations as well and for table topics. So in this way, it's not the timer just gives you an indication that okay, this is your time limit. You can ideally you shouldn't, but you can speak beyond that time limit as well to create a complete point of view. So that's the overall agenda, and also the something about the functionality. Before we begin with our first speaker, Abhijit, I would like to introduce his evaluator, Frederica, who gives out the speech specifics, as in the pathway that Abhijit is doing and some criteria that she'll be evaluating him on. Frederica.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Today I have the privilege of evaluating distinguished Toastmaster Abhijit. The purpose of his speech is for him to present a speech and receive feedback from his evaluator, yours truly. The title of his speech, Pennywise, Pound Foolish. This is taken from engaging humor, and therefore we expect to see that humor coming out of this speech. His level 1 project, project 4, evaluation and feedback. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thanks, Frederica. Abhijit, Pennywise, Pound Foolish. Pennywise, Pound Foolish, Abhijit.
I was walking down the aisle. No. It was not a wedding aisle. My mother would have been very happy. It was the aisle of a Southwest flight at Boston Airport. I was excited that I got the last seat of the plane. As I sat down, I suddenly felt very warm. I looked at the layers I had. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers on. I was walking like a Michelin man. But the girl next to me was not impressed. Suddenly, stop the flight, stop the flight, stop the flight. That incident taught me something which would change the perspective I had. It taught me that I cannot be penny wise, pound foolish. Sometimes I had a habit of just focusing on the small things and forget about the big picture. It was April of 2013. I just moved to the Bay Area. I still had a sticker shock. I firmly believed that the rent in the Bay Area should be $490 for 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. This was the rent I paid when I went to school at Alabama. I still had my apartment in Boston. I decided that I need to bring my stuff back from Boston to the Bay Area. I decided to fly Southwest. My plan was to put all my stuff into 2 big bags and bring it back on the plane. When I arrived in Boston, it was not the best time for the city. When I got to my apartment, I was amazed the amount of stuff I had. When I started packing, it took me 3 full days. And when I was done packing, I ended up with 14 bags. Now I was worried how I'm going to take these 14 bags to the Bay Area. Suddenly I got an idea. I can call my colleague Dan, who lives in Boston and visits our company every month. Hey Dan, I was wondering if you could help. I was wondering if you can bring my bags when you come to San Jose. I was amazed what Dan said. Oh, I will do it for you, no problem. And Dan showed up 2 hours later and collected my 12 bags. I was still left with 2 bags and bunch of clothes. I didn't know what to do with them. I was too tired to pack. I thought I'll wake up in the morning and pack. I put an alarm at 5 o'clock. But somehow my alarm did not ring. I got up at 6 a.m. with a frenzy. My flight was in 2 hours. I somehow managed to pack my big bags, but the clothes, I didn't know what to do with them. I just put on layer after layer after layer after layer. And I was rushing for the airport. I managed to check in my bags, but then I had to go through the security. I had to remove all my layers, put them into the bins. I had total 8 bins. I also had to remove my work laptop. Once I came through the security, I immediately put on all my layers and put the bins in the corner and rushed for my plane. When I sat down, I had a sigh of relief. Ah, I made it. But suddenly, stop the flight, stop the flight, stop the flight. Those words just remained in my head. I just remembered that I forgot to check the bottom tray, and that bottom tray had my work laptop. And I was worried what I'm going to tell my company tomorrow when I go to work. I didn't know what to do. That plane ride was the most uncomfortable, anxious plane ride I've ever had in my life. As soon as I arrived, I called the Boston security. Sir, were you able to locate a laptop through security? The reply was not very encouraging. We are still looking. I was just worried about the next day. When I arrived at work, I told my computer guy I forgot my laptop. He gave me a loaner laptop for a few days. I kept on calling the Boston security every day for the next 7 days, but I got the same reply. We are still looking. I spent so much of time, anxiety, and stress dealing with that. As I was thinking about what was happening, I realized that when I was just focused on the small thing, like taking all my clothes and bags back to San Jose, I did not realize how it would impact the big picture. I could have just shipped everything through UPS. It would have saved me the time, the anxiety, and the stress. This was a big lesson for me. What about you? Do you focus on the small picture and forget about the big picture? Don't be a penny wise and pound foolish like me. I encourage you to look at the small picture as well as the big picture. After calling the Boston security for 3 weeks, finally they were able to locate my laptop. And then I called my uncle, who is the CEO of a company in Boston. Hey, uncle, I forgot my laptop at the Boston security. Will you be willing to pick that laptop and ship it to me? That was the most uncomfortable call I ever did. And it always reminded me that I am not going to be penny wise and pound foolish.
Thanks, Abhijit, for this very interesting speech on Pennywise and Pound Foolish. I know everyone's been there where they had to make this uncomfortable call, telling someone, can you please pick something up for me, or can you do something for me which I forgot? Totally relatable. And interestingly enough, the big picture is actually the theme for for my next speech, which is quite literally titled as the big picture. So before I go on to that speech and its introduction, the evaluation for my speech will be in a round robin fashion. So in a round robin fashion, normally what we do is when the speaker is completed, we go in a general way. So I call upon the members to give their opinion of what I did good, what could improve my speech quality, and what are your general observations about the way I delivered my speech. So it is a bit more non-structured, but it gives us an opportunity to discuss various angles of the same speech. This round robin evaluation will then take place in the second last segment of evaluations. My speech itself, which is titled, which is the big picture, comes from the innovative planning pathway, level 4. The project is lessons learned. So ideally, if someone has been in a position of leadership, they have to share their experiences of what were the lessons that you learned throughout your journey, whatever your leadership experience is. The idea from the speech is that I showcase a clear uh, observation skill about what were the targets to be achieved and how I traversed through that journey of achieving those targets. Yeah, this is kind of weird. Normally, a evaluator does that, but nevertheless, Shardul, the big picture, Shardul. All right. You a few minutes ago was asking me this question. How do you communicate with your boss? How do you tell things to your manager to get the expected outcome from him? And that is where I have to say, it's all about the big picture. 2 years ago, I was on my first job in the Netherlands. The job profile was that of electronic designer. And as a designer, I'm used to working with MOSFETs and resistors and transistors. What I'm not used to is dealing with people and planning the entire journey upfront. Because my role as an electronics designer required me to coordinate between 3 universities, 2 of them in Germany and 1 of them in the Netherlands. And I was supposed to be the focal point of the entire initiative. The initiative was to characterize or see the behavior of certain samples that we had ordered. So one university was going to make those samples, another university was going to see or characterize the samples on a wafer level, and a level up, I had to design the automation for that characterization. So the journey started off with designing the sample, base characterization, and then automating that characterization. Now, as a focal point, I was supposed to see all these aspects of the chip, of the characterization process. And now I was also the guy who was supposed to do the automation. So I had two roles: oversee the big picture and work on the smaller details. And that is where the lessons learned aspect of the big picture comes into play. Let me start off with first B in the big picture. Well, B is quite literally big picture, because if you are working at 2 levels, a high and a low one, if you are stuck with looking only at the minute aspect of a workflow, you don't necessarily, at least I couldn't get the big picture into mind, because I was stuck on looking at transistor level, MOSFET level, or very fine details of a project. I could never imagine the impact a certain aspect or a certain design choice would have on the overall grand scheme of things. And that's where it becomes a problem if you lose track of the big picture. Well, I'm repeating big far too much, but this abbreviation also has the second letter, which is I. Here, I represents interpersonal communication. Since it's a collaborative effort of 3 universities, you obviously had to, I at least obviously had to deal with multiple people. And let me tell you, people are as annoying as they get. You have people who are always happy and cheery. You have people who are always disgruntled. Why you do this? I don't like it. You have also people who are like, who take their own sweet time to respond to a simple yes and no question. And managing this group of people to come together and agree on one particular aspect is very difficult. Very difficult if you are not able to communicate the big picture that you have in mind, and also resolve each of the personal issues that these people are trying to bring together. Because everyone had their own take on how I should go about in utilizing my project or on finalizing my project. I had to bring everyone on the same page, either through explaining the problems I was facing or showcasing how one problem was then going about, and then how do you say, spiraling into a major issue somewhere else in the design chain. Because this translation of problem A to problem B and problem C can only happen if you are able to communicate, and if you always have the zoomed out image of the work in mind. The last part of my lessons learned was the G alphabet. That's actually a go-getter attitude, because you might want to communicate to the world's end about how you can resolve this and that, but at one point you have to go and get the job done. You can't just keep on talking with A, B, and C to say how we can resolve something, but not doing the actual work. So for me, the big picture involved zooming out and actually seeing the grand scheme of things, how one action related to the other and how it affected the final endpoint of the project. The second was observing how interpersonal communication can help in get the job done, or vice versa. If interpersonal communication is missing, how can the entire project be sabotaged by misunderstandings? And lastly is the go-getter's attitude. You can talk all the way you want, unless you are willing to put in the efforts and get the job done. Yeah, my project was never going to be above the level I expected it to be. It was funny that as a designer, I actually had forgotten to look at the zoomed out big picture. I always looked at the details, but without the grand scheme of things in your mind, you definitely can't accomplish what you want to, because at that point, you don't know what needs to be done. Hence, the one thing that we should never forget, at least I will never forget down the line, is having the big picture of a project in mind. Thank you. Well, that was for the second speech. And I do realize one of the feedbacks I'm sure would be, you say big picture far too often. So without going there, let me start off with the next segment, which is actually on the table topics, which will be headed by Stephen, who's our table topic master. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Today, we will have fun with our table topic. One of the most exciting portion of the meeting is allow members to interact with each other is the table topic session. Our main objective is to challenge members to develop their impromptu communication skills, to effectively think on their feet, and answering unrehearsed questions. We also want to give everyone an opportunity to speak at these meetings if you like to. And if I don't have volunteer, I will be calling on people as well. The table topic specifically designed to develop 4 essential communication skills for Toastmaster, and more specifically, this skill was also applied to entrepreneur. These 4 communication skills are listening, thinking, organizing, and then speaking in that particular order. Today, I will be asking questions related to our main topic, which is turning dreams into reality. Maybe you can learn something, maybe you can give some advice to other members. And the normal format for our table topic will be 1 minute timing for a speaker to speak, and that is the qualifying time, and no more than 2 minutes. So if you finish 2 minutes and you have 30 seconds to wrap up, otherwise you can be disqualified at a contest. And I don't think we have the word of the day today, right? Did I miss that part? Okay, so usually we want to encourage our members to use the word of the day during, that's an extra challenge as well for our members. So the first question today, I'm really excited about being an entrepreneur. And the first question of the day is related to that. For me, it was a journey of trial and error, and success and failure. And until later on in my entrepreneurial life, that's when I learned about Pareto's principle, or you might have heard, they call it the 80-20 rule. And basically what it means is 20% of your effort you put in will usually yield 80% of the results. So it's not always one-to-one. And for non-entrepreneur, people working for other people, they understand this as, if you work an hour, you get paid for that 1 hour. You work 2 hours, it's always linear. But as an entrepreneur, we know it's not linear. And the first question that applies to Pareto's principle, or we want you to share with us. So the first question is, what area of your life or your business life that you actually see an impact of the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle? And if anybody would like to volunteer, you can raise your hand. If not, I will pick on a person, put you really on the spot. Okay, so no hand raised. So I like Priyanka to step up and answer this question. Priyanka.
All right. Yeah, you really put me on spot here. Okay. So 80-20 rule, what I understood from your description is you're saying that of all the effort, it's usually the 20% of things which we do matter the most. I'm trying to get an example from my work life. And in his speech, Abhijit had mentioned, I'm sorry, I think it was Shardul. Shardul had mentioned about the interpersonal communication and skills. I think if we lead a big project or any effort, the 20%, sometimes we tend to ignore those interpersonal relationships at work and communications, which may be just 20% of our work and 80% is, the things we're doing. But those relationships, they go a long way especially when, you want to seek alignment or beat anything else. And it's not that one day of convincing anyone, it's the relationship you have built with them over time. So this 20% of effort you spend in making relationships at work help you achieve a lot overall in your job. So this is where I see 80-20% being applied.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Priyanka. It's certainly great tips for all of us as entrepreneur, because sometimes we don't see the personal connection is as important. But like you said, I can definitely see that 20% of effort putting into this field, this area, can yield you 80%. And for entrepreneur, we don't have enough time to make all the mistakes. So that's why we want these hacks that will excel us in whatever field we want to get to. So the next question, we want to see these applications that it can be applied in your personal life as well. So the next question would go to, I forgot your name because I think you changed your name to, you can take a table topic. So maybe you can say your name as well. So this way it will be imprinted
you
in
can
my
call
head.
me Helen. Mhm.
Okay, so the next question is, what impact or what you see in your personal life that can apply that 80-20 rule?
Yeah, good to know the 80-20 rules in this club. It's more like a relationship building, and the other 20 is more like our daily work. My understanding is I still have a long way to do to improve in this part. For example, 80% is for relationship building. I do see that when I communicate, I want to get projects done and move the plans and strategies forward. Don't make mistakes when we have a long list in our priority list. But the thing is, building good relationship, managing up, managing across, and managing down, especially convince your sponsors, your second line managers, that's the correct way. Put some other tasks for the next quarter or next year. That's important for us for our current strategy plan. That's really important for us. And also I do find that aiming big, just as what you said, turning the big dreams into actionable plans, that's important for us. Yes, it is. I generally make some plans like ABC, give the risks and also to show the benefit, the timeline for plan A, plan B, plan C, what it looks like, to give my boss, especially my second boss, the options to choose rather than QA questions, because when they are traveling, they don't have time to fill in those kind of contacts, and also choose proper ways that they like. For example, they don't like Arima, I will use a Facebook Profit, although essentially they are the same. That's my understanding, 82 rule. Back to you, Stephen.
Well, before you end, can you share your name? I apologize, I forgot your name.
Helen, H-E-L-E-N.
Oh, okay. Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much for everyone for sharing their experience, because we can all learn from these experiences. And Pareto rule is just one of the rules that we can apply to our entrepreneurial life. So the next contestant, Frederica, maybe you can share with us ideas or principles that are similar to Pareto rules or 80-20 rule that you had applied in your life. Frederica. Are you able to get on, Frederica?
You caught me off guard because I wasn't listening at all.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rules, is one of the rules that entrepreneur uses to advance, to realize their dream quicker. So you don't have to put all the work in to achieve the results. Shortcut is ways that we do, or hacks that we can shorten the journey to get to the top. And so, Frederica, we would like for you to share in your life if you have any other ideas or principles that you can share with us that we can apply to get shortcuts, hacks, so that we can get our dream to reality quicker. Frederica.
I had a dream, and I still have a bigger dream. And we have heard that several times. How do you get to that dream? Or how do you fulfill that dream? I realized I could not do it alone. So whatever dream I had, and that was to start off my business, I shared it with some competent people who I knew. So I found wonders outside there, who I knew that would assist me. What happens then? The load becomes lighter, because you now have a team who can advise you. And sometimes, especially when it comes to social media, I'm not hot on that. So as part of my team, I look for somebody who was very good at social media. And even for my new club that I started, who can advertise, who can give me advice. So different people, including Ramesh, who will speak on different aspects of my business, which is similar to his, and I'll get advice. So this helped me to shorten my journey. I went into this business not having an idea how to really start off. I had the idea, but the things that were involved. And I can advise everybody now to shorten the journey, you get the experts. When you think you're not the expert, you might be an expert, but do not have the know-how or the start or where to start. You get somebody who has been through this entrepreneurial journey to assist you. And this is what I did. So my journey was very short, and it continues to be short because projects are coming in. And as they come, they say, take the job and then find out how you're going to do it. And this is what I did. And I succeeded then. Back to you.
Thank you, Frederica. That was wonderful, because I wish I met you earlier, because in my earlier days of entrepreneurship, I tried to do everything. And we're trying to bootstrap the business. However, that is not the fastest way to realize your dream. And thank you very much for sharing, because I learned that the hard way. And now I'm learning from you. So the idea is to find the right people to help you to get to your journey. You would not able to do it alone. I think that's those quotes from Frederica. We can take it to heart and we can learn from this. So thank you very much, Frederica. And Toastmaster of the Day, Shardul, do we have time for another one, or I think we can move on to the next one?
No, yeah, we do have, you can go for two more.
Okay. All right. The next person. If
I can go next. Yeah.
Yeah, I see the next person in the chat, Akaterina. If I speak, if I pronounced your name correctly, and please correct me if I pronounce it wrong. The question for you would be, in your entrepreneurial life, which part of your life or work life, where you would like to find these shortcuts, like Pareto principles or ideas that Frederica has given us. So which area that you found is you're struggling, that you would love to find a principle or a rule that can help you spearhead, move ahead faster? Ekaterina. Are you with us? You're on, you muted. Okay. Give you 2 more seconds and we're going to move it on to the next person. All right.
Maybe you can ask Nag.
I will ask Nagaraj.
Nagaraj, yeah.
Nagaraj, to the podium, please.
Yeah. So what I understood from Frederica is managing your time properly, but I wanted to add few more things on top and see how I can improve in the aspect you mentioned. So one thing I'm trying out is have a hour by, I tried when I was a bit younger, maybe 10 years ago, was hour by hour listing of what you need to do in a weekday, right? That helped quite a bit. And recently, what I'm trying it out is whenever I have to have focused time without any distraction, I put myself on a timer. So the task which has supposed to be taking 3 hours or 4 hours with the timer takes only 1 hour. That's what I realized. The timer, I'm being very focused. And also I'm using technology to schedule a event for myself or block my calendar for myself so that I focus on a task in that time. Those things are helping me quite a bit, but I have few distractions which I'm trying to avoid. Coming back to your topic, like what do you want to improve, right? Those distractions are sometimes taking my time. Let's say I have 16 hours of waking time, then it takes me 4 hours of those distractions. So something I want to improve. So somehow I need to focus better on my career and my study so that the other distractions are less. So those methods and techniques I will be employing quite a bit going forward and lowering the distractions. And maybe spend time more with my kids so that I get to enjoy the break so that I can rejuvenate myself and focus on the needed tasks and avoid the distractions. Over to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much for your feedback, Nagaraj. Being vulnerable is very important as well, because in this journey, by sharing your weakness, and I can concur with you about these are the challenging time to manage your time, to manage yourself. And that's a struggle as well. To recognize ourselves, our weakness is one of the ways that we can get to the top quicker. Because if we don't face our fear, our challenges, it will be an obstacle for us to overcome. And if you don't realize it or you don't recognize it, you will be falling behind. So thank you very much for sharing us with your weakness. And this conclude our table topics. And back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Shardul.
There is actually Kirti wanted to give a table topic, so I guess we do have 2 minutes for that. Maybe you can just ask a last question to her, and then
All right, so birthday, right. So I will be thinking on my feet as well because I only have those questions. So see how interactive this is. This is our learning experience. But I love the spirit of sharing, the spirit of growing in this club. So this will continue the theme, Kirti. Maybe you can share with us how sharing will help us moving forward faster in our entrepreneurship journey. Kirti.
There is a saying that sharing is caring. So I really believe in that. I think in our lives, it's very much important. As much as we are growing, we have to also pull others in lives. I believe. So that will definitely help us a lot. Like when I was doing my masters, when I am originally from India. So when I came from India to the UK, I was very much new to this country. And I didn't knew a lot of things, like starting from the culture to how to while I was going to the university, the whole environment is so different. And so luckily I had so many good people, like some of my friends were helping me out, like to figure out everything and all of that. Also in my entrepreneurial journey, I'm currently working on my startup idea at the moment. So I have like a team of people like who can help me out. So so definitely it's very important like to share the knowledge. When I was doing my masters as well, when I came to the UK, when I was very new, uh, I was doing my master's in artificial intelligence and robotics. So as soon as I came to the UK, just after 1 month of starting the course, we had AI exam, artificial intelligence exam, which is like one of the toughest modules we ever had. But I didn't knew what to do. Like it was so difficult subject, and but still, like my professors and my friends did help me out, and I also made a schedule on how to plan everything, and then I got good marks at the end. So definitely, we all need somebody else at times to help us out. Information is very important. So it's very important to share the information we have because sharing is caring. Over to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Karthi, for a very encouraging speech. And I can tell you speaking from your heart, and we're all learning from each other, and we really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for your time and your participation. And now we would like to turn it back to Toastmaster of the Day, Shardul.
Thanks, Stephen. That was a very interesting session we had. And I like the fact that I managed to put you on the feet as well.
Thank you.
So let us go back to a point that Nagraj actually raised. And it was also something that I had in mind to share, especially given the theme is from dreams to reality. And one of the things that does come in the way, one of the things is distraction. Now, distraction can be of many forms, be it scrolling on your Instagram feed for hours at end, be it going out thinking about food, not thinking what you want to think at one particular time. Yeah, you name it, and we have distractions around. One thing that I was quite recently reading about was a book called Deep Work. So, for a brief moment, I thought it's nice to share the book as well. The book is essentially about how to create a distraction-free setting. I won't say it's entirely about how to eliminate distractions out of your life, but how you can work in spite of them is the core message of the book. And one of the many strategies the book lists out, one is, as Nagaraj says, create a timetable for yourself and then block out your own time so that people can't bug you during that time frame. The other point was actually, since all of us are in a world where we have to constantly respond to emails, Teams messages, Slack messages, whatnot, one other thing that the book was suggesting was to actually keep one day entirely like distraction free or communication free, so to speak, so that you can actually focus on the topics or the work that you have to do. And instead of multitasking on 10 different projects, if if you're a manager, then your work demands you to do on 10 different projects. If you're an engineer, you need to focus on one. So the idea is, based on your job profile, fix or carve out a time for yourself, and that can then help you get more results. Funnily, the book also mentions an example where managers were asked not to do multitasking, and that also yielded quite significant improvement in performance, at least from the anecdotes in the book. So this, I thought, would definitely help us transform our way of work and bring us a step closer to achieving our dreams. Another aspect that helps you go to where you want is feedback. And now is the segment where we have our evaluator, Frederica, who will be evaluating Abhijit's speech. Though Abhijit is no longer in the meeting because he has to attend a contest, the session is recorded and it will be shared with him. And next, after Frederica, we'll have a round robin evaluation of my speech. So Frederica, please share Abhijit's evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Distinguished Toastmaster Abhijit, your path was engaging humor, and you gave a speech which needed an evaluation that you would add back to your next presentation. I can say you certainly met that objective. This was an interesting and relatable topic. My granny always used this term, penny wise and pound foolish, but it was always related to money. But this saying was coined by Robert Burton. And it is saying it was actually the act of concentrating on small things and missing the opportunity to gain the bigger things. I have seen that happen in Puerto Rico, where this man was missing his flight, he ran away and left his wallet. I alerted security, they did nothing. How did he manage for the rest of his journey? I do not know. Toastmaster Abhijit, you caught me from the beginning. You had me at the edge of my seat. You were walking down the aisle. And then right away, the humor came in. No. It was not a wedding aisle. I love the structure. I love your props. You had your quotes, your layers, and you brought that story to reality in my mind. Your vocal variety enhanced the speech, especially when you imitated the callers. Dan, your uncle, that was great. Your comfort level, you're very comfortable in your speech delivery, and therefore your eyes were glued on the audience throughout the speech. As a result, you certainly kept me and continued to keep me at the edge of my seat because I wanted more of that humor. I was actually laughing away. I wanted to find out where you were penny wise and pound foolish. Audience and engagement was present because you asked us, what about you? Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Thanks for a great lesson you left with us. Be penny wise and not to be penny wise and pound foolish. You asked me to look about facial expression. Toastmaster Abhijit, you communicated your feelings. Whilst you went through this ordeal, you wanted your belongings to take to your next destination. Too tired? Yes, you showed signs of that. When you realized your laptop was missing, you could show more disappointment. And this is where you need to fix up that area. So it comes out like you are very disappointed. What can you do at this time? When you got the replacement laptop for just a short period, you should have shown that bigger smile. When your uncle brought that laptop to you, it should have been a big grin. You should have jumped out for joy, and that would have just nailed that speech. You would have met every aspect of that speech. In conclusion, I identified with this relatable topic, your vocal variety, your comfort level, the structure of your speech. But to challenge yourself, be mindful of your content. And if you're mindful of your content, what we'll do, you will add the appropriate gestures, facial expressions as you go along. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Frederica. That was quite an insightful evaluation, and I really like that how you summed up and also put into perspective how the grin could have been on different stages of receiving his laptop or alternative to laptop. Thank you very much. We now go to the round robin segment of the evaluations, and I would like to ask, well, starting off with maybe Nagaraj, if he has any insight on my speech delivery.
Yeah. Hi, Shardul. Thank you very much for your speech, big picture. Yeah, we got a good sense of your big picture, and obviously similar on the same lines as what Abhijit was talking about. Penny wise and pound foolish. I had to Google it up to understand that as well. So yours, I really liked the flow, your hand movements and your gestures and eye contact and the whole delivery. One thing I wanted to see was you had three. I was looking for a big and also picture. Only the acronym was big. So then I was okay. I made a note of those big picture, interpersonal communication, and go get attitude. So you had one story fitting those three. Maybe it could be improved as in having 3 short stories fitting with those 3 acronyms. That's something you can consider for the future. But all in all, it was very cohesive, very well delivered. Don't have much feedback apart from that, but maybe you can rehearse more where there is some that those kind of ums and ahs, but not so many, but it will flow better, I think. Just from a delivery point of view, but the content was very good, and your because you have spaced yourself, your hands and body language is also very visible. But in future, if you have PowerPoint, adding to it some cartoons of big picture, missing out the big picture, and having the acronym show up, that's something which can enhance as a background, as Abhijit used to do. You are in the foreground and background, not just looking at your slides. That's some improvements for future.
Indeed.
Over to you. Yeah.
Thanks. Indeed, big written in big font over here could have a bit more impact. I totally agree with you, Nagaraj. Thank you for the feedback, and also I'll add in more stories next time.
Thank you.
Priyanka, how did you feel my speech went?
So Shardul, I really enjoyed your speech, and I found a lot of value into it. I mean, the message you gave from your speech about, big picture and interpersonal skills and being a go-getter. So I really don't have any new feedback other than what has already been mentioned. I think a little more aspect of storytelling would make things stick more to our mind, people who are hearing, or prop, something which catches attention more and leaves it in our minds more. Other than that, it was a great speech. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Priyanka, for the feedback. Indeed, I forgot to mention the one aspect about interpersonal skills was during start of this my job, there was one guy whom I never saw eye to eye. We fought in most of our meetings, and I always tried to give him or answer his problems or whatever his points were. And at the last day of my or last phase of my work, where things were getting so critical and worked up, he was the only guy who stayed till 9 o'clock in the evening and helped me sort things out. So the transition from always fighting to helping me achieve it was something that I meant to incorporate in my speech, and I somehow forgot. But indeed, thank you very much for the feedback. I'll incorporate that next time. Last one is Stephen. Do you have some points? Because now all of us will have.
So thank you, Shardul. For feedback for anybody or for your speech only?
For my speech only, because
Okay.
now after this everyone has to concentrate on Kirti's speech as well. So
Okay.
just for me.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Shardul. I really enjoy your speech and enjoy the topic of your speech, and also see how you managed the theme very well for being the Toastmaster of the day. One of the things that is most striking when you speak is your big smile. It's really connecting with the audience. I really enjoying that. Your eye contact is wonderful. It's great to see, how you apply this idea into your speech, and many people already, mentioned some of the idea to improve as well. I really enjoy people giving a speech, and I'm working on this as well, is the animation, how to apply what Frederica was talking about, the animation that adds into your speech, transition of the sound of the voice, or moving, looking at different directions and kind of guide the audience toward that. I really enjoy that. So great speech today, and just encourage you to apply some of these animation and make your speech even more livelier. Thank you.
Thanks,
Back to you.
Thank you everyone for your feedback. I'll definitely incorporate them in my next attempt, and for being observant about things. I would ask you all to be observant one last time, because today we have a pitch delivery, and this pitch will be delivered by Kirti. Kirti is applying for jobs to become a data scientist. And as a data scientist, she has to fulfill certain amount of responsibilities. That being looking for the right data set to target, providing alternatives how to look or analyze certain data and come up with solutions that help an application or a product achieve their desired proficiency. At the same time, on a non, while this being the technical aspect, the non-technical aspect will be having collaboration spirit to work with different people, incorporate ideas, and share your own findings. Secondly, would be to show a certain degree of curiosity or inquisitiveness to learn different aspects that you're not familiar with. So, this is a very broad description of her profile. And the question or the pitch that she is giving today is to answer one question. Why are you suitable for this job, Kirti? Why are you suitable to be a data scientist? And her pitch, uh, we are here to actually help her incorporate different aspects, be it in showcasing how she fits different responsibilities in the job description and her pitch. And we have to, or the idea is to help her incorporate all the aspects there. Kirti, I open the floor to you. And we, yeah, yeah. So, why are you suitable to be a data scientist? Kirti.
Thank you so much, Shardul. If you ask me to describe myself in 2 words, I would say I'm a tech geek. Since I was a kid, I've always been interested in technology. Especially, I was more curious about artificial intelligence, which made me to do my master's in artificial intelligence and robotics in the UK. During my master's, I've learned so many different skills like machine learning, deep learning, AI, and robotics, and many more. While I was doing my final year project, it was during the time of COVID. So at that time, there was no, still there were no medicines for COVID, and even vaccines were not out at that time. So I was thinking, like, while I was thinking of a topic for my final year project, I thought, can we do drug discovery using machine learning? Is it even possible? So, when I tried to do a research about it, I found that yes, we can, because drug discovery takes like 10 to 15 years traditionally to finish off. So, I thought I was so scared, like, imagine like we don't have drugs for 10 to 15 years for COVID. I thought it's very important like to incorporate machine learning. So I decided my final year project to use a machine learning for drug discovery. So I've downloaded the data from a Chamble database, which is a database which is used by a lot of people in this field. So I've downloaded the data, I've trained the data, and I've used different machine learning models. And I got to know that random forest suits more for this particular data. So I've got an accuracy of 72% for this particular project. I felt like this project took me around 6 months to complete, and this is one of my favorite project, which is also available on my GitHub account. You can just have a look at it. So along while I was doing my masters, I was also a computer science and Python tutor, and I was also teaching for the maths. So I was teaching computer science and further maths for diploma students, and Python for GCSE and A level, like high school students in the UK. While I was teaching, I felt like I was also improving my subject knowledge dramatically, which would probably be useful for my data analytics and data science jobs, which I'll be doing very soon. And also, once I finished off my master's, I recently finished off my internship as a data analyst at Accenture. As part of this internship, I was given a huge data set of a big retail company, and I was asked to take out the clean the data, filter the data, and find out insights, and tell what are the biggest sales like they are making, this particular retail company is making. So I was also asked to present my reports at the end of this internship. So in short, my skills at my master's, like which I've learned, and my teaching skills improved my communication and technical aspects, and my internship at Accenture uh, uh, helped me to grow a lot as a data analyst or data science, which makes me to which makes me a good fit for this role. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kirti. And we would now look at the efficacy of your pitch delivery from our evaluators or spur of the moment evaluators. Again, the feedback for you would be in a round robin fashion. So right now, as discussed at the start, Priyanka and Ekterina would be giving feedback, but I would also request Nagaraj and Frederica to also chime in theirs, because, well, the most experienced people around here. So starting off with Priyanka, could you?
Hi, Kirti. I really enjoyed your speech. Very, very well spoken. So, the prompt here was why you are a good fit for a given company. And you listed your skill sets very, very well. I liked it. You definitely have an impressive profile, which would work nicely for data scientists. That comes across nicely from your speech. Also, you were very confident while you were speaking. So that's awesome as well. In terms of the things which we can work on, I think what you did in your talk was you talked about three things. One was your drug discovery AI project, which you did in your master. Second was your teaching experience. And third was your internship at Accenture. So instead of listing these three and then listing the things you learned from them, I would combine them and maybe put the internship experience first, because you are looking for a job and that's perhaps your most recent experience as well. So that will qualify you as you have work experience, you have worked in team, and you can talk about what you learned from that experience, maybe like collaborating with others, working in a corporate environment. Second was your teaching experience. There you can again talk about your skill set, which you learned from there. And then third is your drug discovery AI project. So I would add what you gain from those experiences right with those experiences, and then again at the end tie up your qualifications in 2 sentences and repeat those again. But overall, awesome speech. Well done.
Thanks, Priyanka. Actually, pretty insightful feedback. I would actually, Frederica just received a certain, was interrupted, so she won't be able to provide feedback. Nagaraj?
I can do that as well if you like.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay.
Nagaraj, can you go ahead?
Yes. So Kirti, thank you for coming to in this club and giving your pitch, setting yourself in front of the interviewer. Few very well delivered. You have the structure and all that. Few improvements you can think of. Let me point out the improvements. One, if you can have your camera not have too much white space, like that, and also if you can show your hands with hand gesture, might impact, it might convey the message in an effective way to the listener. That's one. Second, I don't know, forgive me if I did not pay quite good attention, but the depth of, let's say you're talking about the project, right? How deep you go, I think, I don't know whether you went deep enough. You are scraping the surface or going deep based on the listener. If that person is technical listener, then going deep is better. But in the interview, I'm thinking you should be going deeper, not just scraping. Maybe that's something you can add. And also your Python class experience, how does it relate to your actual AI? how it improved in your projects, or the vice versa, right? How your Python is obviously used in AI, all those libraries, but you can enhance it better. And saying that you go above and beyond with other aspects which help your core aspect, and that's something you want to take it forward in your future job. Have that extracurricular activities you did, and from the leadership management point of view, even though you will start as an individual contributor, how do you will grow to influence others, influence the team and future trajectory of your career? They will sense the desire for your growth, and that might vibe more. I think the growth aspect, the go-getter aspect, that kind of the other personalities we can enhance. But all in all, I really liked it. It's very well delivered pitch. Thanks.
Thank you, Nagaraj. Stephen.
Thank you, Shardul. Kirti, thank you very much for your pitch and sharing with us. I really like your hand gesture, Nagaraj mentioned about it. I can see partially. So is this going to be the online interview or in person?
Generally, I think these days most of the interviews are online.
Oh, okay. Because it won't be a challenge if you have a direct person interview. It won't be a problem. But then you have to have to keep in mind, make sure you're in the frame and your hands are in the frame as well. So that was a very good feedback. So my feedback today to help you improve is all about confidence. And I have the opportunity to interview a lot of people. And one of the things that how I pick up this person know what they're doing, and that's what I want to hire. Somebody that is coming in really on their feet and know what they're doing and very confident is when you are thinking. I noticed your eyes gaze to the right. And so it's like on a computer screen, right? If it says loading, you know it's loading. But one of the tips that would be helpful is learn to look at the camera straight directly while you're thinking. So you can pause it or you can slow down a little bit. But if you're looking to the right, then the person knows that you are thinking, you're loading. So it would be helpful and show a lot of confidence just by looking directly at the camera, even though you're thinking. The second item that will help with the showing confidence is minimizing filler words. One of the things that you use, and I see that you use more than 3 times, is nothing wrong with the filler words if you're using it occasionally. And actually, it show the real you, rather than a canned speech, just like reading. You use the word like several times. And so challenge yourself to use a different word. For example, other words that just like the word like, but it carried the same message, but it's not distracting, so that the interviewer can see the confidence in you. And that's about it. It's good information that you're sharing, and just go in there and knock them dead. Good luck. Back to you, Shardul.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you so
But
much.
I hope she doesn't knock them dead. She still has, they will be offering the job another day. But thank you everyone for the feedback. I hope it helps Kirti in her job application up ahead. And that brings us to the last part of the session, which is the winding down. And I would like to really thank everyone for their for their enthusiastic participation in our session today. I know that well, at least I'll concede one thing, that since we had a few people today, the roles kept on repeating, but at least everyone had ample opportunity to participate. And also everyone had to participate and think on their feet. So this is one aspect that, while is discomforting to begin with, is something that I like in meetings as well. Certain amount of, how do you say, uncertainty helps us tackle situations and think on our feet. That actually adds in a lot of value down the line when we are interacting on normal situations or normal circumstances. So I hope you found it interesting, and I look forward to seeing you all the next time for another interesting session where the Toastmaster of the day would be Stephen. So I hope you are all excited for that. Thank you very much for participating today. And that concludes the meeting. Before I end it up, I do have a question for just a sec. For Priyanka, and that was how did she feel about the meeting today?